How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big by Scott Adams. Picture yourself backstage, your heart hammering so loudly it might as well be a drum solo. Any second now, you're walking out to face 1,000 expectant faces under those blazing stage lights. Here's the thing, though. You're harboring a terrifying secret. Your voice might not cooperate. For months now, something's been going haywire with your vocal cords. Mid-conversation, they just clench up, chopping your words into this broken, stuttering mess. Doctors? Completely stumped. Some even hint you might be losing it mentally. The weird part is, you can chat normally when you're alone, or having a heart-to-heart with your cat, but around actual people, it's struggle city. And yet here you are, about to deliver an hour-long speech. The organizers keep shooting you nervous glances, probably regretting their booking decision after attempting small talk and getting nothing but garbled responses. The host's voice booms across the venue. Please welcome Scott Adams. The audience erupts. You step into the spotlight, take a breath that could power a small city, and open your mouth, genuinely curious, along with everyone else, about what's going to happen next. So what kind of person willingly sets themselves up for potential public humiliation in front of 1,000 strangers? Well, the kind who stumbled onto something fascinating, a secret about how failure actually works. This is Scott Adams, the genius behind Dilbert, one of history's most iconic comic strips. He's racked up more failures than most people attempt in a lifetime. Inventions that flopped, restaurants that tanked, a corporate career that went sideways. And somehow, despite all that, he came out on top. Like, really on top. Today, we're diving into his story and the mind-bending lesson hiding inside it. By the time we're done here, you'll understand something that sounds completely backward at first. Winning isn't about dodging failure. It's about learning to invite it in, survive the encounter, and then, as Adams puts it, mug the crap out of it. You'll discover why follow your passion might actually be terrible advice, and why setting goals could be sabotaging your success. Most importantly, you're going to learn a completely different way of looking at your own life, a system for transforming every stumble, every setback, every faceplant, into a stepping stone towards something spectacular. Let's kick things off with one of those pieces of advice that gets trotted out constantly. Graduation speeches, motivational posters, coffee mugs, you name it. Follow your passion. Sounds pretty solid, right? Passion energizes you. Passion keeps you grinding when things get tough. But Scott Adams learned something completely different early in his banking career from a boss who'd been around the block for 30 years. His boss dropped this wisdom bomb. Never, ever make a loan to someone chasing their passion. Don't fund the sports fanatic opening a sports store or the foodie launching a restaurant because they just love cooking. Why not? Because they're in it for the wrong reasons. The person you should bet on, his boss insisted, is someone with zero passion for the business itself, just a genuine desire to work hard at something that makes sense on paper. The grinder beats the dreamer every time. This sounds completely nuts until you really think about it. Adams argues that passion is kind of nonsense. Consider this. When do you feel most passionate? When you're starting something new and exciting, or when that thing actually starts working? For most of us, success breeds passion, not the other way around. When Adams first started sketching Dilbert, it wasn't some lifelong dream. It was just one of about a dozen money-making schemes he was testing out. But once it gained a tiny bit of momentum, once it looked like it might actually go somewhere, his passion for cartooning went through the roof. Meanwhile, all those projects that crashed and burned, they slowly drained his passion dry. So if passion's not the secret ingredient, what is? This brings us to the central, game-changing concept of the entire book. Something that'll reshape how you approach everything from homework to hobbies to your future career. Here it is. Goals are for losers. Systems are for winners. Let me unpack that. A goal is a specific target you either nail or you don't. I want to drop 10 pounds. I want to ace my next exam. I want to become a famous cartoonist. A system, on the other hand, is something you do regularly that stacks the odds in your favor for long-term happiness and success. It's about the process, not the prize. Think about someone whose goal is losing 10 pounds. From the second they set that goal until they achieve it, if they ever do, they're basically living in a state of continuous failure. Every time they step on the scale, they get this reminder, not there yet. It's exhausting and demoralizing. And what happens if they finally hit that magic number? They celebrate for maybe 5 minutes, and then, what? They've lost the very thing giving them direction. So they either feel empty, or they set another goal and jump right back into the feeling like a failure cycle. Now picture someone with a system of eating healthy every day. This person wins every single time they follow their system. They feel good with each smart choice. Instead of fighting discouragement, they're building a foundation of small, daily victories. The goal chaser is waiting for some future moment of satisfaction. The system builder is creating a better present, one day at a time. Adams learned this lesson on his very first flight to California after college. He ended up sitting next to a CEO whose company made screws. The CEO shared career advice that stuck with him forever. Every time he took a new job, he immediately started hunting for a better one. His actual job wasn't the job. His job was finding the next better job. That was his system. No specific milestone like make vice president by 30. Just a system of constantly seeking better opportunities, picking up new skills, and job hopping his way up until he landed in the CEO's chair. It opened doors that a narrow goal would have slammed shut. This philosophy guided Adams through his wonderfully bizarre, failure-studded career. He never had some burning, passionate goal to become a cartoonist from day one. In his post-college diary, he sketched out his system: create things that could be reproduced infinitely. He didn't want to sell his time. That's capped by the clock. He wanted to create something once and sell it 1,000,000 times over. This system practically guaranteed he'd face a parade of failures. And boy, did he fail. Spectacularly, even. He tried inventing a Velcro rosin bag for tennis players. Total flop. Wrote a meditation guide that sold maybe 3 copies. Spent years developing computer games that went absolutely nowhere. Started a website for crackpot ideas that became such a dumpster fire he had to shut it down. Invested in a grocery delivery company called Webvan and watched his money evaporate. Opened 2 restaurants with a partner that both eventually closed after legal nightmares and terrible luck. For someone focused on goals, this would have been soul-crushing. It would have felt like repeatedly banging your head against a concrete wall. But Adams was all about systems. With each failure, he wasn't just failing, he was collecting a new skill. Which brings us to his second big idea. Every skill you pick up doubles your odds of success. Okay, it's not a precise mathematical formula, but it's an incredibly powerful way to think. He argues you're better off being pretty good at 2 complementary skills than being world-class at just one. He's the perfect case study. He'll tell you straight up. He's not a world-class artist. His drawings are famously simple, almost childlike. He's not the funniest person at most parties. His writing is solid, but not literary genius level. But he combined these decent but not amazing skills with something most artists don't have: 16 years in the corporate trenches and an MBA from Berkeley. His simple art plus his solid writing plus his deep understanding of office absurdity. That combination was explosive. That's what made Dilbert magic. His failed corporate career wasn't a failure at all. It was his education. He learned budgeting, management, technology, marketing, skills that became absolutely essential when he needed to transform Dilbert from a small comic strip into a worldwide phenomenon. This is the beautiful thing about systems. When you're goal-focused, failure feels like the end. When you're system-focused, failure is raw material for success. It's acquiring another skill that doubles your odds next time around. Failure becomes your teacher, maybe even your friend. So if your system is constantly learning and trying new things, what keeps it running? If it's not passion, what's the fuel? Adams says the most important thing to track is your personal energy. This isn't about crystals or chakras. He's talking about practical, real-world physical and mental energy. He suggests making choices that maximize your energy, because that makes everything else easier. He wants you to think of yourself not as some creature of mysterious emotions, but as a moist robot that can be programmed. If you want different outputs, better mood, higher productivity, more success, you need to control your inputs. And the biggest inputs you control? Diet, exercise, and sleep. He keeps it simple. Pay attention to how you feel after eating certain foods. He noticed, for instance, that simple carbs like potatoes or white rice made him feel sluggish and drained a few hours later. But vegetables, nuts, protein? Those left him energized and ready to tackle things. Food isn't just fuel. It's a mood-altering chemical cocktail. And if you dial in your diet correctly, you won't need willpower to exercise. You'll want to exercise, because you'll actually have the energy for it. This is another system in action. Instead of setting a goal to hit the gym 3 times weekly, which demands constant willpower, you create a system of eating foods that energize you. That energy naturally leads to more activity. You're using one part of the system to power another. You're removing the need for constant mental battle. This moist robot programming applies to psychology too. He talks about how simply smiling, even forcing a fake smile, can trigger feel-good chemistry in your brain and actually improve your mood. The physical action changes the mental state. This leads us to one of his more eyebrow-raising but fascinating ideas: affirmations. An affirmation is basically repeating what you want to achieve, usually by writing it down over and over. Classic example: writing, "I, Scott Adams, will be a famous cartoonist," 15 times daily. Now, Adams is quick to clarify. He's not claiming magic is real. He doesn't think writing something down summons cosmic forces or anything. He sees it as a focus tool, a way of programming your moist robot brain to spot opportunities you'd otherwise miss. When you're laser-focused on becoming a cartoonist, you start noticing comics and newspapers differently. You pick up on how humor works. Your mind becomes a filter, constantly scanning for relevant information. But his experiences with this were, well, kind of weird. Before he ever tried cartooning, he was stuck at a bank job. He made a bet with a coworker that he could beat her GMAT score, the business school entrance exam. She was already scoring high and taking a prep course. He was scoring mediocre and studying solo. The odds weren't exactly in his favor. So he decided to test out affirmations. He picked a specific, ambitious score, the 94th percentile. Every day he wrote his affirmation and visualized opening the envelope and seeing that 94 on the page. When the results arrived, he tore open the envelope. His score? Exactly 94. Coincidence? Quite possibly. But it was intriguing enough to make him try it again later, when his corporate career hit a ceiling, and he decided to chase that old cartooning dream. Every morning before heading to his cubicle, he'd write, "I, Scott Adams, will be a famous cartoonist." And, well, you know how that turned out. But this circles us back to that backstage moment, his voice gone, his lucrative public speaking career hanging by a thread. He'd been diagnosed with spasmodic dysphonia, a rare neurological condition. Doctors told him there was no cure. His only option was regular Botox injections into his throat, a creepy, unreliable Band-Aid solution. This was the ultimate test of his philosophy. Could he fail his way to success even here? He didn't set a goal like, "I'll be cured by Christmas." He built a system. First part, track everything. Diet, sleep, stress levels, on a spreadsheet, hunting for patterns that might trigger his voice problems. No patterns showed up. Second part, set up a Google alert for spasmodic dysphonia. He basically turned the entire internet into his personal research assistant, waiting for luck to find him. And while waiting, trapped in this prison of silence, he used his affirmations. Every day he'd repeat, "I, Scott Adams, will speak perfectly." Not as some magical spell, but as a way to maintain focus, keep optimism alive, keep his energy pointed in the right direction. He was programming his moist robot for hope. For 3.5 years, he lived like a ghost, unable to have normal conversations. Then one day, his system delivered. A Google alert popped up. A doctor in Japan was reporting success with a new surgical procedure. That lead eventually connected him with Dr. Gerald Burke at UCLA, who was pioneering experimental surgery. The procedure was risky, cutting the nerves from brain to vocal cords and rerouting them. 15% chance it wouldn't work, maybe even make things worse, eliminating any hope of future treatment. He took the risk. After surgery, he waited. For 3.5 months, complete silence, as the nerves slowly regenerated. Then, almost exactly when Dr. Berk predicted, it happened. His wife heard him speak. Just a few weak, breathy words. But it was a start. The connection was back. Today, his voice isn't just cured. He says it's better than before the problem started. He can project in noisy rooms in ways he never could before. His affirmation, in a very real practical sense, came true. He can speak perfectly. This captures the essence of Scott Adams's message. Life isn't about avoiding failure. It's about building a system that can weather it. It's about seeing every failure not as an ending but as education, a new skill, a data point. It's about managing your energy, your focus, your psychology. It's about being a patient hunter, creating conditions where luck has better odds of finding you. Success isn't a destination you arrive at. It's a system you live by. And if you build the right system, you can fail at almost everything and still win spectacularly. When you really break it down, this book's message is incredibly liberating. It gives you permission to be imperfect, permission to try things and fail. In a world obsessed with overnight success, viral moments, and flawless social media highlight reels, Scott Adams reminds us that the path to real, sustainable success is almost always messy, winding, and filled with embarrassing failures. The most powerful idea for me, and the one I hope sticks with you, is this distinction between goals and systems. It's a subtle perspective shift, but it changes everything. We're all conditioned to be goal-oriented, but this framework often traps us in a cycle of anxiety and disappointment. We're either stressed about not reaching the goal, or we reach it and feel this strange emptiness. A system, though, is about the process. It's about falling in love with the daily practice, not the future prize. If your system is learning something new every day, you win every day. If your system is being physically active daily, you win every day. This approach replaces distant goal anxiety with the quiet satisfaction of daily progress. It's healthier and way more sustainable. Another key lesson is skill stacking. You don't need to be world-class at one thing to be extraordinarily successful. You just need to be good enough at a few complementary things. This is incredibly empowering. You don't have to compete with prodigies and genetic lottery winners. You can carve your own unique path by combining your unique skill set. What are you pretty good at? What other skill could you add that would make your combination rare and valuable? Maybe you're good at writing and also understand video games. Or maybe you're solid with numbers and a great public speaker. That combination is where your power lives. So how can you start applying these ideas today? Here are a few simple actions. First, take one of your big goals and reframe it as a daily or weekly system. Instead of get an A in chemistry, try review my chemistry notes for 20 minutes every evening. The goal is an outcome you can't fully control. The system is an action you can. Second, identify one new skill that would complement what you're already good at. You don't need mastery. Just decide to become good enough. Maybe it's learning basic graphic design online, taking a public speaking class, or learning simple video editing. Every new skill dramatically increases your odds of future success. Third, for just 1 week, become a scientist of your own energy. Pay attention to how you feel an hour or two after eating. Does that big lunch make you feel like conquering the world or taking a nap? This simple observation, treating your body like a system you can understand and optimize, is the first step toward controlling your energy and, ultimately, your life. That was the summary of How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big by Scott Adams. We've hit the major ideas today, but here's the honest truth. A summary can only ever be a map. It shows you landmarks and general direction, but it can never replace actually walking the path yourself. The real magic of a book like this happens in those quiet reading moments, when a particular story or simple phrase connects with you unexpectedly. This summary helps you decide if this book deserves your time. If anything we've talked about today sparked your curiosity or resonated with a challenge you're facing, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning. It's an experience that can genuinely change how you view your own failures and potential for success. The link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you found this journey valuable, please click that like button and subscribe to the channel. It lets us know we're heading in the right direction and ensures you won't miss our next exploration of another life-changing book. Let's keep learning and growing together.